This episode of Profiles in Risk is sponsored by InsurTech Insights New York City, the largest InsurTech conference of the spring season. Join us on June 5th and 6th in New York City at the beautiful Javits Center as we dive into the future of insurance technology. Use discount code INERDS25 to save 25% on your ticket. See you in New York! Hey, this is Tony from the future, and by the future I mean this is Tony as he's about to edit this podcast that goes live tomorrow. This podcast was recorded a little over a month ago. And the reason I wanted to add this little piece is because this beautiful thing arrived this morning. It just came out. And this interview that you're watching here in a little bit is with the author of this beautiful thing. And so you'll learn all about it. But really, I wanted to show you, I should have turned that blur off, but I wanted to show you, it really is a beautifully made book. Absolutely beautifully made. Now that I have it in my hands, it really, obviously I haven't read it since it just arrived, but it will look beautiful on your bookshelf. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your sleep-deprived your sleep-deprived podcast host, Tony Cañas. Switching to my radio voice. I don't even remember my joke that I usually say. Switching to my radio voice. And today I have with me Chantal Roberts of CMR Consulting and author of the upcoming book, Once Upon a Claim, Fairy Tales to Protect Your Ass. And this will probably release, I actually have an after I was supposed to before we start recording, but this will probably release the week of May 11th. So basically, if you're listening to this, it means that it's coming out in the next couple of days. So go and get it if this sounds interesting to you. Awesome. So Chantal, number one, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, everything's wonderful.
Awesome. And we're recording on March 15th. Oh my God, we're I don't do any editing, so this goes the way it is. Or I do very little editing. We are recording on March 15th,
Yes.
2024. The book goes out in May.
Yes.
What is this book?
So I originally wrote a book for adjusters during the pandemic. I was an expert witness, and I noticed all the expert witnesses that I was up against had already written books and everything. And so I'm like, well, it's the pandemic, everything's shut down. I'm going to write a book. And I did. And I deliberately hired an editor who didn't know anything about insurance because I wanted to make sure if that editor understood what I was trying to say, then the adjusters that I was talking to in my book, it's called The Art of Adjusting, would understand. And so she would come back, the editor would come back to me and go, do people know this? And I was, well, if those adjusters are listening to me who buy my book, they should be telling the consumers these sort of things. And she would tell, she just said, look, Chantal, people need to know this. Consumers need to know these things, and consumers don't know it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know. And she goes, you need to do a book about this. And so that is where Once Upon a Claim kind of began, that concept of I want to help educate consumers about insurance, because my thinking is, my feeling, my firm belief is that if consumers knew the same things that adjusters know, we wouldn't have so much contention. We wouldn't have so much lawsuits. Our claims could be settled easier, quicker, better, faster, because the insureds or the claimants would know why the adjusters are asking for things. So there you go. I'm just trying to make things easy for everybody.
I agree 10,000% with the idea. I am not a claims side guy. I would have sat down and and or no, no, maybe I wouldn't have because I actually my book is actually printed, but many people would have sat down and written a 80-page ebook, made it available, and maybe put it on Amazon. This is not an 80-page ebook. This is
No,
not like not only is it printed, like this is an illustrated like children's book for
yeah,
adults. So how did you end up in that going for that format?
okay, so I started thinking because I started actually taking the art of adjusting, the book for adjusters, and
Mm-hmm.
just basically translating it to consumers.
It's a logical idea, yeah.
Right. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was halfway through and I was like, it comes across as preachy, as
Okay.
holier than thou.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even like reading it. And you know what, Tony? I consider you and me like people. I'm an insurance nerd too, dude. I teach insurance, risk management and insurance. I'm a professor of it, and I could talk for 3 hours straight
Hmm.
about insurance. I love it, but I hated this book. And then it dawned on me that y- every religion, every thing that we do when we want to remember something or we want to teach someone something, we tell it in a parable. We tell it in a fable. We tell it in a nursery rhyme. We tell it in a story. And that is how it got to me. I was like, you know, Rapunzel with the hair and the prince and everything, that's trespassing. We should know about the landlord duties of a trespasser to a business invitee. And oh my gosh, what about Goldilocks? Also trespassing, but this time it's a kid. So do you have strict liability then? So I'm able to talk about like all of these things that lay people don't necessarily know, but
Hmm.
adjusters do. And so lay people get confused as to why we deny a claim if they trip and fall on our property or whatever. There you go. This would be why. I even teach them about, the ABCD rules of liability. We have car sections and all of that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Just before we started recording, I asked you a couple of questions. Number one, I noticed that there's no paperback option.
Yeah.
There's a hardcover and
Yes.
there's a very affordable Kindle version. So why no paperback, right? And yeah, why no paperback?
Well, first, I deliberately did. We will have an audio book, by the way.
Love it.
Uh, I am going to have an audio book. I have someone reading the audiobook, which I'm super duper excited about. He can do all the voices, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Anyway, what I really wanted this to do, so for your YouTube viewers, it's like this book here that's going to be in the business section, but it looks like a kid's, nursery rhyme book.
Hmm.
And that's deliberately what I wanted it to look like. I wanted it to look like those nursery rhyme fairy tale books that you had when you were a kid. And for the most part, when you get a lot of them, those weren't in paperback, those were hardback. So I did that
True,
deliberately.
true,
Yeah.
true, true, true. Um, the map. So
Oh,
so
yeah, this
I
is
know
bad
it
when you're
it
like,
it, it is hard.
it's like all here. Yeah, so here's part of the illustrations. Um,
And it's
so
beautiful.
one of the things again that I love it when authors do this, when we have stories and we hearken back to them. So everybody lives in this fairy tale land, and we see a lot of the same characters get popped up a couple of different times. And like the big bad wolf, he comes up a couple of times. And so I like having that fact that we have now a map and we can like trace things around. I think that's fun. I like it when books have that. So it's mostly for me and my entertainment as well.
That is fantastic. All right. Uh, so according to the Amazon page, according to the Amazon page, uh, this is 238 pages.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
238 pages is long for an illustrated book.
it is. It is. But again, it is going to be, well, I'm never not verbose. I'm always verbose. You
Yeah.
know, because
Um,
I mean, like some of this is just like that's the shortest moral of a story that I've ever done, you know? So here's a little
I,
illustration.
I'm verbose too. 800-page article, no problem.
Yeah.
200 the 800 word per article, no problem. 200 word, forget it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Hour session on insurance conference, I can do that. I can do that tomorrow with no notification. Right, 10-minute pet style talk takes me 6 months of work.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I totally get it. I totally get it.
Absolutely. All right. What? So I definitely understand the need. We 1,000% live in a country, in a world, but especially a country where insurance is deeply, deeply misunderstood,
Yes.
right? Part of the problem is we don't teach it in high school or in college,
Right.
right? But deeply, deeply misunderstood, and that misunderstanding gets abused
Yes.
by unsavory characters. What I'm guessing the big bad wolves are, uh, right? Roofing contractors in the entire tornado belt or hail belt. The plaintiff bar,
Plaintiff bar.
uh,
Plaintiff bar. Yeah.
the entire state of Florida. Uh, like, uh,
Florida used to be fun. Now, I will give you this, Tony. When I first started teaching, I was like, let's study Florida and high Florida. Y'all have cleaned up your act. I will give you this. But I mean, Florida was a hot mess for like the longest time. And I was like, every single week, I'm like, here's Florida. Don't do this. Don't do this. When I was teaching, or I still do teach risk management and
mhm.
insurance, and I'm like, yeah, don't do this. But you're absolutely right. We don't teach insurance, and the few books that are out there, and look, my book's not going to be necessarily cheap or anything like that for because I mean, who wants to pay
Uh,
you know,
I'm
40,
gonna say the Kindle version.
yeah, the Kindle version is
If you just want the content,
yeah.
right? The Kindle version right now is $5.99.
Exactly. I
Right,
mean,
like
you'll get it on May 11th. It'll just like drop down right there into your thing. But if you want to have some fun, get the hardback version. However, I was talking to my kids, or my students, I should say, my students yesterday, and I said, you're absolutely right. We do not teach insurance to people. And I keep pushing them, trying to get them to think, what can the insurance companies, what can the insurance industries do better? And they're all because I said every single one, Bill Wilson, you know Bill Wilson, Bill
we
Wilson,
published this book.
Bill, yes, and every single insurance is not a commodity. Insurance is not a commodity. And so I keep making them watch these insurance commercials. And I'm like, what does this mean? How is this? Do you know anything about insurance after you watch this? And I actually had a bet with one of my students yesterday. And I said, I bet you I could teach you how to read a policy in 30 seconds flat. And he goes, you cannot. And I said, I bet I could. And so why is the insurance industry not doing that? It can be entertaining. It can be funny. It can be within 30 seconds, and it'll give you just enough information for you to turn right back around and go to your agent. and ask for more information. Why don't we do that? Like Schoolhouse Rock. It would be so much better than these books that are out there right now that are a lot cheaper, and these free websites um, that are out there, and they say, oh, you just need to sue the insurance company. They're just trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Da, 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 da. They don't explain why the insurance adjuster is doing what they're doing. We actually have rules and regulations that we've got to follow. And again, I go back to the point. If a average person knew what those rules were, then they would probably understand why it's taking so long.
Mhm.
Anyway, I get really impassioned like you do.
No, this is fantastic. So I hope you end up appearing on Oprah, so to speak, right?
I
I
would
think
love that.
I think Oprah's retired, but I hope what I'm saying is I hope that you end up on some very mainstream, right? Like yeah, I hope you end up in some very mainstream uh media,
Yeah,
uh getting people excited about learning about insurance. That'd be incredible. That we will build you on a
thank
monument.
you.
Uh, like I think that at the very least deserves a induction into the Iowa Insurance Hall of Fame. I know you're in Kansas, but I'm guessing Kansas doesn't have an Insurance Hall of Fame.
That's,
Uh,
you know what? I think I am an honorary Iowan because my husband's from Iowa.
Perfect,
So,
perfect.
I mean,
It's like Congress, right?
yeah,
You kind of pretend to live there, like you get mail at the in-laws. Yeah.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so yeah, no, honestly, like if you can get on mainstream media,
I would love.
and really get the word out about this, that would be amazing.
I'll
So
tell you the truth, Tony.
yes,
I took out a loan, so please buy my book, everybody. I took out a loan.
I
um,
love the honesty.
yeah, yeah, I'm totally transparent, guys.
Illustrations are not
Please.
cheap. Generally,
Yeah,
they're for 18-page books, not for 228-page books. Yes,
exactly.
totally get it.
Exactly. I don't want to treat you like an adult, guys, so please, I'm not going to treat you like a kid. I'm not going to throw punches. Sometimes the insurance company is wrong and sometimes they're right. Anyway, what I told my publicist when I've hired a publicist, and I know it could go both ways, getting up on something like Oprah or Good Morning America or whatever. Um, and I said, I want to be on the New York Times bestseller list just for 2 weeks. That's all I want, just for 2 weeks. I'm not asking for
Right.
like, all year or anything like that, just 2 weeks. And he goes, you're not going to make it. And I'm like, dude, I am putting it out into the universe, putting it out. So I would love that.
Has there ever been an insurance book on the New York Times bestseller? My guess is
Oh,
my guess is yeah. My guess is there has to, because if you think about it, even like
it would have to be Bill Wilson if anybody.
and I published Bill's book. Yes, it's
Yeah,
the best-selling book that we published.
exactly.
It's not a New York Times bestseller, right? Uh, no, like if you think about it, like the business sections of the Barnes and Noble, if such a thing still exists, I don't know. I used to love walking the Barnes and Noble. The business section of Barnes and Noble is full of biographies of people and companies, and insurance never, not even Progressive and Geico, right?
Okay,
Like almost never. AIG,
so I know why that is. And it actually helped me because I did go through the business section of Barnes and Noble and all of that kind of stuff. First of all, because I think this would be really funny
yes,
to be walking around in Barnes and Noble and then you go, ooh, Jimmy didn't do his job. This book belongs in the children's section. And you're like, wait a minute, once upon a time, you got the word assets. Oh, that's not a children's book. And then you start flipping through and you're like, oh my gosh, row, row, row your boat. It's about flood insurance. But the thing is that I walked in there and I was looking. You know where the insurance books are? Reference. And I'm like, who goes to reference? Nobody goes to a
no,
reference.
and they're not gonna be. I haven't gone to a reference section to find the insurance books, but they're not gonna be interesting, popular business books, right?
No.
they are going to be very technical stuff.
If they're there,
If
because
they're
the one I went to several Barnes and Nobles, and the one that I found, there was one out of three. It was something like how to adjust your claim or whatever from 1943. There was dust on it like that thick.
that's miraculous that that was there at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I went through the business section, like you said, and I started looking at colors, and they're all white for, the biographies or whatever, yellow for, do something, red for, you know, learn how to do it within 5 minutes, green for let's make money. And I'm like, there are no blue books. So, hey, look, it's a blue book that
The
has a
insurance
horse on
the insurance nerds books are red, almost all of them, red covers, and
it.
to the best of my knowledge, never been stocked at a Barnes and Noble, but
No,
they are red covers.
yeah. And
Uh,
there's a whole theory behind that, but that's a whole nother podcast.
okay. So the reason that I say I wanted to end up on mainstream media, yes, absolutely, but this is not it, right? Today, right? Like the audience of this particular podcast is insurance agents and
Hmm.
insurance carrier executives.
Yes.
A significant number of them, but that's who it is. So I am curious, what is our ask to? So I think that literally every listener is gonna go like, yeah, this is. I'm so glad somebody's doing this, right?
Yes.
Like I'm so glad. Okay, so hey, insurance agents and carrier executives and insurtech executives, uh, number one, buy the damn thing.
Yes.
Uh, keep it in your office.
Okay.
Keep it in the what's it
You
called
know what
with the
would
magazine.
be,
Mhm.
a great, we're in a hard market, aren't we? We are in a hard market, and insurance agents, insurance producers are looking, insurance companies are looking for a way to add value right now.
Mhm.
Wouldn't
Mhm.
it not be nice to have your sticker like right here saying,
Mhm.
thanks for buying insurance from Roberts Insurance Agency, or, Nerd
Yes.
Insurance Industry, and
Yes.
give this
Yes.
book away, um,
Yes. Yes.
for
Yes.
as a warm fuzzy,
Mhm.
I will give you a book discount, contact me. And and I mean, wouldn't that be nice? To be able to have that. I
Yes.
actually, what started that, because I was thinking only to consumers, and I facilitate CPCU's 530 class, which is about the legal environment. And there was a gentleman there who is a producer in Kentucky, and I used to make fun of him because I'm from Arkansas, and so we would go back and forth about which was the worst state, Arkansas or Kentucky. And he would go, I would give this book away. I would buy it and give it to my new clients, the ones who are just now buying a house, just now getting a car, you know, just, and then slap a sticker that says Billings Agency, call me, and then the phone number, and it's a nice warm fuzzy. It's better than a coffee cup, which breaks. It's better than pens, which everybody gets, and everybody knows they're cheap. It's better than some kind of squishy toy that you give to your dog or whatever.
Makes so much sense.
I I,
It
I was like, oh my God, that's a great idea.
did that happen to be Jeff McIntosh?
No, his
Okay.
name is yeah, Jason
Okay.
Billington. Yeah.
Okay. But yes, that is a fabulous idea. And both carriers and agents, the other thing you can do is call your local news,
Yeah.
right? Like help help us get Chantal on mainstream news.
Yes. Or here's something that insurance companies can do themselves as well. Okay. Uh, I remember working this claim, and the I saw this news article, this TV article, and they were interviewing a plaintiff attorney and the insured. Insurance company didn't pay me, and my insurance estimate was $15,000, and all they gave me was $5,000, and yada yada yada. And the reporter said, we've reached out to the insurance company and they didn't respond. Guys, respond, because I guarantee you what happened is the insured has like an ACV policy on the roof. And so that would give us a chance to explain our side of the story.
Mm-hmm. We're still
That
gonna
would
be the
give
bad
us,
guys.
yeah, we're still going to be the bad guys, but it would give us a chance to educate our people. And really, that's what I want. I just want to educate everybody because it's going to make the world better. We're going to like start singing in harmony and sharing Cokes and, all of that kind of stuff. Rainbows and butterflies. It'll be great. I swear.
I love the passion. I love the passion. Thank you for doing it.
Thank
Thank you for putting in the work to get it done. Spending the money to get the illustrations. That part is tough. Uh, th yes, like this is important work that as an industry we have not done.
No,
And it is
I don't know
uh
why either.
hey, NAMIC, APCIA, uh, sponsor this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like, it will make everybody's job uh better.
right.
Right, it'll make our life as insurance people better.
Yes.
It'll eventually lower loss ratios, industry wide.
Exactly. 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 If our insureds understood how premiums are determined, now I don't go into all the nuances of all the ratios and everything, but I take like the Three Little Pigs and I talk about how there's different premiums for the straw house, for the wood house, for the brick house. Well, I mean, and that's something that is so super obvious, but it's something that an insured can grasp. Right. And then I'll throw in some interesting things like that whole Louisiana storm deductible, stuff. And so sometimes I get off into the weeds, give you a little bit extra, but there you go. Um, yeah, it can be so easy, and I don't know why we don't do it. I do not know. Do not.
Yes. Instead, we spend billions of dollars. Uh, Hello, guy, I'm progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then in a little bit smaller scale, nationwide, all State Farm, everybody else, uh, out trying to out funny each other,
Yes.
spending more in commercials than beer companies, commercials made by people who don't understand insurance, uh, and who attract the wrong client. Now, not for
Right.
Geico Progressive. For Geico Progressive, like yes, because it attracts price driven clients.
Right. And
Yeah.
I would also add that I do believe our insurance companies are no longer run by insurance people. They probably have never seen an insurance claim, unless their Maserati got keyed or something. I don't know. That's probably mean of me to say. I shouldn't say that
Well,
publicly, but we can edit that out. I'm just kidding.
yeah, no, 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 no.
No,
The discussion is welcome.
yeah,
But I have found enough insurance companies where the CEO grew up there, much more so than say banking, where like every
yeah.
CEO from consulting kind of thing, right? Like
Okay.
uh, so we're a little bit better. Well,
Good. I mean,
it,
good.
it does not show in the way that we market, for example, or in the
No,
way
no,
that we
no. It
educate the
does.
public. It doesn't show.
Yeah. And I don't know why. Because like I said, um, I actually won the bet. There was no money exchanged. It's just like, ooh, Professor Roberts is cool. I'm like, darn tootin', I'm cool. I am cool. I can teach you how to read a policy within 30 seconds. I mean, boom. And it can be funny, it can be cute, I don't understand why we don't do that. I think personally, it would show that we care more. The company that does that, I think, would show their insureds they care more. We want you to be on the same level as we are. We want you to have the same knowledge that we do. We want to treat you as equals.
And by the way,
These are our commercials.
let's think about that. This is so interesting. I had never thought of this, but I'm guessing banks don't want you to know everything they know. I'm guessing car dealers don't want you to know everything they know. Right? Uh, Oil companies definitely don't want you to know everything they know, right? Uh, Tobacco companies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We do. We are so misunderstood and so frequently demonized
Mhm.
that yes, we would love for you to know everything we know,
Right.
because the reality is that the consumer is allowing themselves to be taken advantage of in ways that delay the claim, in ways
Right.
that make sure the lawyers get paid, not that they get paid,
Mhm.
in ways that are very, very profitable for unscrupulous roofers,
Mhm.
uh, for unscrupulous chiropractors, etc., not beneficial to the consumer in either the
Yeah.
short term or the long term. Right, in the long term, it affects premiums. In the short term, claims get delayed, and things don't get taken care of,
Right.
all because nobody understands our very complex legal product.
Right. Okay. So, one of the things that I did, because I want people to understand like all of these things. And again, I don't want everybody to like have to read report or just a story and everything. Like, for example, Jack and the Beanstalk, it's a police report because it's about the theft of gold, right? And then
Uh-huh.
the moral of the story, the moral quote unquote of the story is about sublimits. And again, one page. I basically just taught you, all about sublimits. And in another instance, what I did was I invented claim notes, or I wrote out claim notes. It's for Sleeping Beauty. And it talks about, claims made policies, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that I want to show the insureds and the claimants who read this what an adjuster sees. And the notes actually go backwards, like an adjuster would see it. So the most recent note is first and the beginning note is last. So and I even did the moral of the story on the at first right there. And you're like, wait, why are we starting off with the moral of the story in the beginning? It was so I could explain this one's going to be messed up. Just roll with it. But why don't we? We are the most regulated, but the most vilified. If we pulled back this curtain, you would see that the Wizard of Oz is just a guy from Kansas, or a gal from Kansas with a book.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You know what it reminds me of. Uh, I'm a very proud CPCU. You're
Yeah.
a fellow CPCU.
Hmm.
Um, I love CPCU and I push CPCU. I'm the key. I'm the top CPCU pusher in the country. Uh, I learned almost as much about insurance from reading the Warren Buffett letters to shareholders
Mhm.
than I did it with CPCU. His writing style in the Buffett letters is very folksy, very like, right. It's not quite a fable, but yeah,
Mm.
totally could make them into a business fable if he wanted to like get illustrations and. But yeah, I think like I understood a lot about it about insurance from that, and
Mhm.
I think this goes after the same idea, except for the consumer, which is
Right.
radically important.
Look, you know what? There are podcasts out there for consumers and insurance, but they're done by roofers.
Of
And
course, of
and
course,
and
of course.
and there are podcasts and books and audio streams or whatever for consumers that are done by attorneys. Look, I do have a bias. I'm going to tell you, I have a bias towards the insurance industry. I believe that we are
Me too.
good. However, I'm going to call us out on some things. I do. I call us out on some things. I go, look, this is the reason why it's never going to be settled within 5 days, like your claim. One of the things that I got asked about, what I was helping a woman, was she says, I don't understand why it takes so long for a claim to settle, you
Hmm.
know? And I said, well, I mean, have you looked at the flow chart? And you know what? This is like the simple thing, because what gets me, and Professor Roberts just had like a total meltdown last or yesterday, because our book says it, to settle a claim, or actually to pay a claim, there's only 4 steps. And I'm like, well, first of all, we don't always pay claims. So the answer is to resolve a claim,
Hmm.
or
Perfect.
to
Hmm.
settle a claim. So by the very sheer fact that this college book is using the word to pay a claim, there's only 4 steps. Um, Leads people to believe that all claims are going to be paid, and that B, if there's only 4 steps, why is it taking 3 months to settle? Well, I mean, have you looked at the automobile flow chart yet? Because the automobile flow chart is even worse. I mean, sure,
Uh, and and
you
and
could
and by,
have 4 steps, but I
and,
mean,
and and by the way, your adjuster has 200 pending files, uh,
yes,
50 attorneys waiting until the last second to delay things until it's to their advantage, to no benefit
yes.
to the consumer. Uh, uh, 30% of their claims files, well, I don't know a percentage, but a significant percentage of their claims files
And,
have potential fraud.
oh yeah.
Uh, right.
And
So
and I'm going to tell you, when you have a hard market, or your budget gets cut, I mean, think about it just from your own personal life. If your salary gets cut or whatever, where are you going to start tightening the belt? It's like where you spend money. And unfortunately, the claims department is seen as where you spend money. And so therefore, more and more claims are going to come in, and the adjusters are going to leave because they're overworked and
oh,
overstressed.
and
And then
yeah, I could
their
go 6 hours on that
200,
problem. Yeah.
yeah, then their 200 files go to like one person, and it becomes a cascading thing. And I do explain
Hmm.
in the book, I'm like, look, I understand that your claim is very important to you, and we may seem like we are uh, not caring. um, we have to remember that this is new to you, because we see it every day. And we also have to remember that you're only talking to one of us, hopefully. But we have at least maybe 3 people in one file, your husband or your wife or your spouse, your partner, whatever, your appraiser, maybe my boss, or I mean, like, there could be 3 or 4 people that I
Oh,
would have to
it
talk to.
multiplies very fast.
Yeah. And I have to keep all of those. plus the 200. So what's that? 400 people maybe on a good day that I got to talk to. Not that they call all in the same time, but it's just all of that mental space. So yeah, I really feel if everybody understood, it would be better.
That is the understatement of the year. We're only in March, but if everybody understood the basics of how insurance works, if everybody understood that this is not the government printing money, right? We don't have a money printing machine. Ultimately, we do need to be profitable to survive, to be here for you next year.
Okay,
If
can
everybody
we talk about
understood,
that?
absolutely.
I actually put in the book, I don't know if you knew this, guys, but insurance companies are for profit. The vast majority of them are for profit, just like Grandma's Diner, just like Brother Grimm's News, which has a whole newspaper report in the book, just like your local DIY store, just like your business. Insurance companies are out to make a profit. They are allowed to make a profit. And again, I do not think a lot of people understand that.
And
And I think
even
it's a fundamental misunderstanding.
no, and even a mutually owned company
Mm-hmm.
uh, has to, in the long term, survive,
Yeah.
right? So what the biggest piece that people don't understand is the long term effect. Is the it'd be really easy to program an AI to pay your claim in 2.6 seconds and then claim a world record lemonade, right? I don't think it was 2.6,
Oh, you should
but
hear
right, like
mm,
it's very very easy to pay a claim quickly.
mm,
But if we pay every claim quickly, we don't exist 2 years from now. No. First, so let's say I'm a State Farm, okay, and a super large, gigantic policyholder surplus. So let's say
mhm.
the State Farm loses its mind and says every claim will be paid the day that it gets filed. Whatever investigation we manage to do in that day, or the AI managed to do in that day, perfect. But it'll then right customer satisfaction immediately goes shoo, right?
Exactly.
But premiums immediately the next year go right to the point that you end up in Florida, right? To the point
Right.
or much worse than Florida, right? And
Right.
X number of years later, we run to that policyholder surplus and they go out of business, right? And we can no
Exactly.
longer protect you, right? That is completely outside of the realm of what the consumer understands.
Right. And to be honest, I don't get that granular,
Yeah, no, I
but
got it. But if we can
but
help them understand.
a little bit more
Yes, so we can if we
because
can help them understand enough to start the conversation as partners,
yes.
and yes,
Yes.
if we end up with a significant disagreement and a significant money amount of money on the line, and you've actually looked at the policy language, and you you're I hate saying the word lawyer because the moment the lawyer gets involved, they'll find something to charge for, but
Sure.
you, your friend who is very good at reading contracts, your retired lawyer friend who no longer cares about billable hours, looks at it and goes like, "Yeah, I do think you're getting screwed compared to what the policy says." Then yes, get a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
But but and it happens, but it happens a minuscule amount of the time compared
Ex-
to the ginormous amount of time that we end up in a contentious situation and with third parties involved that ultimately do not benefit the policyholder.
in the book, I even talk about, I have a little nursery rhyme, Peter, legal cheater. And we actually break down and I'm like, look, guys, I'm not here to tell you not to get an attorney. In fact, the insurance fairy godmother, Begonia Jim Forrest, who appears throughout the book. She writes a letter to the editor, to Brother Grimm's News, telling people why it's a good idea to get a lawyer. Because sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a good idea to get a lawyer. I'm not telling you that it's not. And as a claims adjuster, as an insurance industry, we can't tell you not to. But I want to tell you about Peter Legal Cheater, and how he will take a third of your settlement or a quarter of your settlement, and how the public adjuster may take 10%, which would leave you as the policyholder with even less money. And I know
And
that they explain this to the insured when they're signing that contract, or at least they should, but
yeah,
I don't think the insured puts numbers to it. So
no,
of
no,
course,
and
I put numbers to it.
it's so easy for an attorney to say I get a third, but you're gonna end up getting three times as much, right?
Yeah,
Like you don't know any better,
right.
right?
So I take, like, let's say that your estimate is $100, and your public adjuster is going to take 10%. Well, that's $10 right off. And then your deductible is $20. Well, that's another $20. So what are you going to get? 100 minus 10, that's 90, minus 20, that's 70. You're going to get $70, but you've got to pay the roofer $100 to repair that roof, which means you've got to come up with $30 yourself. And of course, we're talking usually 3,000, 6,000, 12,000, whatever dollars, not 30. And people don't realize that. And then once you put the numbers to it, boom, they're like, oh. And I'm like, look, guys, here's the deal. You have free resources. It's called the Department of Insurance. And God knows I don't want to tell, people about the Department of Insurance, because then we're going to start getting a lot of Department of Insurance complaints that we got to respond to. But here's the deal. There are free resources out there. I mean,
I
again, let's be partners. Let's
I
be
I
partners.
I am beyond sold. I have interviewed many authors, all within the insurance space, and I have never done this on camera.
Thank
But
you.
right there, I am gonna go ahead and put in my pre-order. Okay, address is correct. Reminder to future Tony to edit this out. Like not like put something over it. Credit card number doesn't show right now, so that
Okay,
part is
good.
fine.
Woo!
Okay, if I remember to edit it. So yes, people that watch the show, yes, I will accept mail at that address if you do want to send something.
He'll
Uh,
accept all your checks from that to that address.
uh, all right.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank
And
you. That means so much
oh
to me. That means so
oh,
much. Thank
like
you.
I mean it. And my brother goes to school at PIU, not
Oh,
far
does
from
he?
you.
Uh-huh.
I spent a lot of time with him over the last few months. I probably want the next couple, but next time I'm in the KC area, I
Yes.
need it autographed.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
Fantastic, Chantal, a real pleasure today.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
doing just fantastic work here. Like this is yes, we should have done this back in like the 60s.
it. Yeah.
And it should be part of every home ec class if such a thing still exists. Yeah, thank you
Thank you.
so much. Such a pleasure having you today. This will go live the week of the release. And
Cool.
listeners, if you made it 50 minutes into this recording, like order the freaking book. Like, come on, you know you want it,
I mean, you and I are so, funny. Why wouldn't they?
right? Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.